Hi guys, this is Doja from NTD, and you're currently listening to the second episode of Dixon's POV from NTD's ongoing POV series, which I know that you are enjoying. Yeah, I know. Anyway, on this episode, Dixon talks about Gregory Dickson. Now, this name may be familiar to a few people, quite a few. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you'll find out by yourself on this episode. Yeah, but I really enjoyed this one. Dixon talked about a lot of things. I mean, you will not know where the conversation is going until you get there, right? But I really enjoyed the episode. To give you a lot of things to think about. And I know you enjoy it as much as I do. So enjoy.
So I understand that many people are prone to thinking that this episode is about one of my siblings whose name is Gregory, probably like my elder brother or something. And it's unfortunate that I have to announce that they will be heartbroken. That's not what this episode is about. It is rather about a character in a South African series that was hinted at on Doja's interlude. The release was in I think March. Yeah, it should have been in March. Its fourth season was released in March, and I've been a fan of the series, so I've seen the entire series from season 1 to season 3. I've actually seen it like thrice, since season 1 to season 3 twice. Like I watched it like thrice. It's not that deep. And season 4 being released in March, I thought to use it as my comeback to watching movies, because interestingly, I hadn't seen any movie in the entire quarter, or I hadn't seen any more movies. I can count on like my palm how many movies, fingers on my palm, how many movies I had seen, in quarter 1 of 2024. So I used it as an opportunity to get back to seeing movies, and I found it really interesting. I found it really interesting. A lot happens in Blood and Water season 4, and I am thinking about how I will speak about Blood and Water season 4 without giving up season 1 to 3, because Doja is still seeing season 1 to 3. And then I want us to have an episode where we like talk about the entire series together. So speaking of Blood and Water season 4, without giving off, let's see how that goes. A lot happens in season 4, from yearning teenage romances to cyber threats. It really just tries to encapsulate as many twists and turns as possible. Per episode, there are like 6 episodes, right? And episode 1 showcases life returning to normal. Now, yes, just take it as normal. Like, take it as stuff returning to normal. There was, there was some conflict in season 1 to season 3 that, threw things into chaos, right? So, of course, the antagonists were sort of dealt with, and things were like returning to normal. And like one of the major characters, Puleng, was beginning to go through therapy. The antagonist from season 1 to season 3 were found guilty in court, sentenced to prison, and then another of the main characters, Fikile, seemed to have been moving on with her life, right? But then a new threat arrives, and we don't know who the threat is, because the person is like anonymous, and the POV of the movie makes us to understand that somebody's spying on her. I mean Puleng now. So by the way, Puleng is Fikile's sister, so it's like half sister type thing. I don't want to give any more information about that. You probably can check it out. So in the first episode, things go from bad to worse when Puleng gets drunk at a party and hooks up with like a new exchange student whose name is Ivan. I think he guys from Spain and stuff. Really crazy things that these secondary school students are doing, like just really crazy things. Things where my eye never see until I enter uni. But no qualms. So he hooks up with this dude, and she doesn't know that some anonymous guy, like the guy who's the source of like threats, the guy who's spying on her, recorded them having sex. So eventually she learns about the sex tape, and she's being blackmailed by the guy. Now, understandably, she feels like the antagonists from season 1 to 3 are the ones trying to target her. So she naively goes to the police, right, to go and report. And those guys and the police are not buying the conspiracy and all of that. So being chief investigator, this girl is annoyingly forensic, like just really, really annoyingly forensic. Like she sometimes there's a lot of naivety, sprinkled all over it that it pisses me off. But then she does a fair job. So she begins to investigate. She investigates, and then she tries to get Sam. Now Sam is Fikile's boyfriend, who was captured in season 1 to season 3. She tries to take the guy along to try to find out if it's the human traffickers. I'm giving off away so much. If it's the human traffickers from season 1 to season 3 that are responsible for this. So the end of that episode, everyone in school receives like a text advertising a sex tape between two students, and on the label of that text is coming soon, I think, or releasing soon, or something like that. And I think there's somebody I haven't mentioned, Wade. So there's a character also named Wade who's like in their clique, who finds a new love interest. Now Wade and Puleng had stuff going on for them, like back in the day, back in season 1 to season 3. That Puleng girl, bro. whoa. It's crazy, really crazy. I mean, well, really crazy. She had stuff going with a couple of people. She has had stuff going with KV. She has had stuff going with Wade. And now she's hooking up with this Ivan dude. But the point is, Wade finds a new love interest. Her name is Asanda. And, in school, they have like a central, I don't know, I don't know why that will be, but I think it's an innovative idea in high schools. By the way, the name of the school is Parker's High School. So in school there's this central like social media, and that was where the anonymous guy hacked in and put out the releasing soon, teased the tip. But the students are the people in the tip are blood, so nobody actually knows who the students are, but people are suspecting Chris. Now Chris is another person in their clique who is not skated, like innocent. Like the boy is just really, because his rich, parents are rich, and he has parent issues, so he's not really scared to be loose, to be wild, but he's a really cool guy. Actually, Chris is a very cool guy. So so everybody's suspecting Chris. That's episode 1 ends there. And episode 2 features the threats increasing. So this anonymous person actually drops a name for Puleng. I think that the anonymous person, when I watched, I was trying to wonder like who the anonymous guy was. I even suspected Ivan, right? Which of course, because I'm the one, like I'm just running you through the series, I will not hold off that it is not Ivan. I actually suspected Ivan. So but this anonymous person seems to need Puleng's help, right? To investigate. So it's like he's trying to manipulate her to investigate. And he drops a name, and that name is Gregory Dickson. So like Gregory Dickson, that's why the title of this POV is Gregory Dickson. But let me just go on recapping. So the threats begin to get to Figile soon, so it means she has something to do with this. And Wade, remember Wade I mentioned Wade a little while ago. Wade figures out that Puleng, because of the way she's behaving, right, that she actually is in the sex tape, and out of love he decides to help her. And that guy is like one of the most selfless people in the movie, in that movie series. So Puleng and Wade, they look into a particular busybody's phone. Her name is Leah Ann, I think. Leah Ann. And she's the one that is always recording people. She's the one that's always like, she's always like happening. She's the one tweeting happening things in school, or I don't want to call it tweet, like messaging or DMing, using like the school social media and all of that. So they look into her phone, and then I mean they corner her subtly and get her phone and subtly transfer the information on her phone. They kind of clone it, and then they find out that it has the sex tip in it. So they begin to suspect her for being anonymous. They confront her, but she says she's not anonymous, that she's actually also being blackmailed by like some dude who's called Pool Boy, and that the guy has been following her, and he is threatening to release her nudes on the internet. So it appears she I don't know why somebody would do that, but she takes some nude photos on her phone. So I don't know, the guy had a hold on it, and has a hold on the pictures and was threatening to release it, and so uses that to manipulate her to what's it called, to tape Ivan and Puleng while they're having sex, and then release the video. No, I think it's the anonymous guy that tapes them, but then sends the video to Leah Ann, and then tells Leah Ann to actually release it or something like that. I think I'm getting it mixed up. I think Leah Ann is the one that taped it, but either ways, the video is found on Leah Ann's phone, and I want to skip the KB drama, like, because like in the midst of it, like KB, I mentioned KB a while back. KB, his parents were like sort of the antagonists. He didn't know, but his parents were sort of the antagonists in season 1, season 3. But the guy is like a budding artist, budding rapper and all. And of course, Chris, KB, Puleng, Fikile, Wade, they're in like a clique and stuff. And so somehow Chris decides to be KB's manager, and he takes a sample from the internet, and then gives it to KB to record over, and then there are some intellectual property issues. Turns out the person is a thug, and the guy comes after them. But like that forms a part of the conflict in this particular season. But I want to skip all of that and just talk about how things get to Gregory Dickson. So it's like this anonymous guy is still spying on Fikile and sends her messages to, and then Sam is passed the message to give to Fikile about Gregory Dickson, and Puleng is still threatened by what's this guy's name? By the anonymous guy, that her time is running out, right? In fact, the threat is so terrible that she's surrounded by one night she's going home, and then she's with Ivan, and like I think they're about to kiss or something, and then like some motorbikes just surround them, and like a gun is aimed at her, and she's shot, right? It was just really crazy, really crazy stuff. And this is right in front of her house, and she's shot. Ivan is trying to protect her. The boy is beat up, and she's shot, but it turns out she's shot with paint, so all goody, right? So the anonymous guy calls her right after and tells her that he knows everything, right? It's just really creepy stuff. The next episode delves into more action, right? With Puleng being shocked after these bike men, attacked her and stuff. She begins to think about things to do to try to appease this anonymous dude, right? Like, well, not exactly appease, but have some leverage. And in a surprise twist, Fikile meets the Gregory Dickson in question, but he goes by a different name at the moment. Like, goes by a different surname, and he explains to her that he's trying to have a fresh start. And Figs tells Greg that the anonymous guy is trying to contact them and wants to tell everybody the truth, and boom, boom, boom. And Greg is scared and says that if Fikile says anything, that she's going to go to prison too. And really crazy stuff. So there's the threat on Figs, there's the threat on Leah Ann, there's a threat on Puleng, and of course by extension the threat on Greg. But Greg is not in the picture so long, right? He's not feeling the heat yet. And so Figile, thinking about what to do now, encourages Puleng to tell her mom about the sex tape, because it turns out that her mom so they think her mom is the person that will be the most jeopardized, like if the tape is released, right? So that telling her mom about it will mean, and the anonymous guy does not have any power if he releases the tape and stuff. Puleng does that, and Figile goes to prison to visit KB's dad, which I told you is part of the was one of the antagonists from season 1 to season 3, and then tries to find out the consequence of telling the truth about something that she did in the past if it will warrant her going to jail. And the man tells her that if she does, she will go to jail and all of that. So she tries to cover. And there's another conflict that I want to skip. It's a conflict about stealing papers and all of that, like stealing exams papers and trying to cheat their way through. I'll talk about that on like the full-fledged episode we will do for the entire series. So I just want to run through Puleng actually confronts Fikili about like the whole Gregory Dickson thing, and Fikili keeps saying that Puleng should leave it, should forget about it, should like not worry about it. I mean that she should fashi, like she has already told her mom, so everything should be fine. And it's just really, really crazy. Like, it's just really crazy. But Puleng sneaks into the school archives with Wade, and they find the file on this Gregory Dickson guy. And they find that Figile has something to do with it, because there's a picture that has Figile, in it, and Gregory Dickson in it too. And then Puleng begins to be suspicious of Figile and how she's behaving. And the anonymous guy keeps manipulating Figs and, playing mind games with her, tells her she's going to have to enjoy jail, like she has to make plans to enjoy jail and all of that. And so she was so desperate, and he manipulates her to release the sex video on the school website. And it was just really crazy. Like, how do you do this to your sister and your friend? You want them to take the fall for you. It was just really crazy. In any case, though, we're talking about Gregory Dickson because he's the major cause of this entire conflict. I mean, we could have just called this episode Blood and Water Season 4, but I felt like, Gregory Dickson is like the piece, the character that, winds the entire conflict together. And I want to say a thing or two about like his character. Just very, very, like probably 2 to 5 minutes, but I have to give you all of this context. In any case, though, Figs releases Puleng's sex tape on the school website. Of course, Puleng doesn't know that it's her. And she begins to feel guilty afterwards. Puleng walks into school and everybody is literally talking about it. Like, about things that I cannot say on this particular episode because I'm a child of God. Really crazy stuff. And she believes that it's Leah Ann that uploaded the picture. Remember Leah Ann, the busybody girl who posts about everything. She beats the hell out of her, She's called to the principal's office and boom, 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 and all of that. And the anonymous guy calls her and tells her that she's blaming the wrong person. And things are just really crazy because as Puleng keeps digging into the whole Gregory Dickson thing, he finds out that it's linked to a certain Damien who almost drowned in a swimming pool earlier, like 2-3 years ago, like I think about a year before she came into the school. And she asks Fikile, who was in the swimming team at the time. But Fikile says she knows nothing, absolutely nothing about it, or doesn't remember so much. Whereas she was in the team. Really, really crazy. So at the time, Puleng begins to put pieces together and finds out that it is probable that this anonymous guy is Damien and that Fikile is lying and she's hiding something. And she feels manipulated and she calls him by his name, Damien, and tells the guy to F off, right? And Fikile tries to tell Sam that she's the one that leaked the tip. Sam is her boyfriend, remember? So that night where like they're outdoors and she confesses to Sam, somebody comes, a boss comes and then they kidnap Figs. It's just really crazy. Really, really crazy stuff. And so Fikile is being kidnapped, taken to an unknown place, and then Sam and Puleng meets just right after, and then Sam tells Puleng that Figs is the one that released the tip and asks her for her help to find Figs, because that's his girlfriend now. And Puleng is pissed, super pissed that she doesn't want to help. And then the police are informed, and boom, boom, boom. And the whole clique, the other half of the clique having their issues, the whole IP issues. Like, this thug arrests those two guys. Well, not arrests, kidnaps them, abducts them, and then maltreats them. It's like crazy, crazy stuff. But I don't want to major on that. And I think eventually they escape and they link up to find Figs. Really, really crazy. Damian is the one that abducts. Damian, the anonymous guy. He's also the pool boy. He's the one that abducts. He's the one that abducts Figs, and then he makes a live video where boy is really smart. I have to give him some credit. He did that, and like he cleaned his trails. So he gets Figs to apologize to Puleng and he tries to get her to apologize to tell the truth that it is the Gregory Dickson guy that is responsible for all of this, right? So, meanwhile, Puleng decides to help Figs. She, tries to buy some time, get into Damian, and boom, 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 offering to give Gregory in exchange for Figs, and boom, boom, boom. And they find Gregory. They eventually find the dude, and the dude does not take responsibility. Like, this dude is, woof. That's the reason why I wanted to talk about that character in this particular episode. A little about that in a bit, but eventually they abduct him. They abduct Gregory. Say, follow us in peace. You follow us by force. They abduct the dude, and then something happens. A lot of conflict. I get into the climax of the entire thing, and then we get to know the entire story about Damian. That Damian was being bullied by Gregory. Now, the thing about this type of bully was that he was being bullied over Figs. Now, Figs, those type of girls that the top boys are after, and some awkward, quote-unquote, retard is also interested in. If you've watched the Kiss Kiss video by Chris Brown, I think he tries to sample that story plot in the music video. But the point is that these boys enjoy bullying the boy. In fact, they use Figs to get the boy isolated, and they bully him often. They do it so often. And it's not that she could have done anything about it. I'm not saying she could have done anything about it, but she was seeing that the boy was suffering, and she was still not speaking up. And I feel like the action of our friends and their inaction hurts. In fact, sometimes it's as if it's their inactions that hurt the most. The moments when they're supposed to be standing up for us in rooms where we're being talked about, where we're being backstabbed or like gossiped over, goes enough to say the kind of friend they are. It's a very, very painful situation. And so Fix is that type of self-centered princess who's like, we can say that she was innocent on the surface, but like I think that she could have said something. And she observed that this boy was brutally bullied. The boy was bullied so bad that on one incident, the Gregory Dickson in question told Puleng to bring the boy to the pool. And then she brought the boy to the pool, and she was leading the boy on technically. And it's not like she liked the boy. She did not like him. But she was leading the boy on. And of course, Damian was the one that was interested in her. This high school drama, they always want to pair, the top boy and top girl, and all of those. Head boy will be dating the head girl. And, the naivety of it for me. In any case, though, they cornered the boy in the pool, and then Damian and them came in and told Fix to go fetch beer in his car. That's their way of trying to get her out of the scene. And then they begin to submerge the boy in water. Like, they bully the boy by trying to drown him. And the boy tries to fight back, and then, he gets angry, and the best he could do is spit on what's called Gregory. And then this Gregory guy literally takes the boy down, like takes the boy and leaves him down, like presses him down. Like, really crazy stuff. and tries to drown the boy. And when seeing that the boy is almost drowning, they run away. Like seeing the boy is almost drowning, they run away, leaving Fix. And Fix saves the boy, but she lives with the guilt of it, having to have said something to school authorities, but she did not want to incriminate herself, and she was scared because Gregory had always been manipulating her, telling her that she will go down if he goes down, and boom, boom, boom. Eventually, they try to cover the trails, and then Gregory switches school. So it so turns out that Damien was in the hospital for months. It cost his dad, who was also poor, and had to leave his job to sit by his bedside, and a lot of things. And his dad now had a stroke as a result of his near demise, and it cost them a lot. And so when the boy returned, he was really pissed, right? He was still a very clumsy dude, right? Don't get me wrong, but he began to be very psychotic, and the pain of it ruined him sort of, and he decided that Figs will not know peace. What's it called? Gregory will not know peace. So I'm really wondering why Pulen was dragged into this. Okay, Pulen was dragged into this because of our affiliation with Fix, and I think the whole idea was to call out the self-centeredness of Fikili. And even in the midst of the kidnap, Pulen was also abducted, sort of like in the last episode, by Damien. And in the unknown place where they're taken, Fix is still being very self-centered. Like I don't like people always putting themselves off as the victim. You are not the victim, bro. Like everything must not always be happening to you. Like now there are times when it's like stuff is happening to you, granted, but I think that it's unfair to the people. Like it's unfair to not be mutual about something. Like it's unfair to not be mutual about the responsibility that you should be taking in the situation. And Fix the entire time is blaming Puleng, and that's like really crazy. Like blaming her, it's really, really crazy. But then I want to talk about Gregory Dickson, about that trait of bullying in school at a young age, should I say. I think that is really as a result of some insecurity and poor maturation that the child has. And he thinks that, he gets his confidence, or he tries to get his confidence by trampling on other people. And that trait could, follow him well through life. The reason why I picked this, this characterization is because I've observed, like it's a keen observation, and it may be wrong. It's very hypothetical through that many times the way that children are in their formative years gets to be how they remain, like at the very fundamental level. If they cannot override certain character traits, they remain that way like all through like their lifetimes. Now, I'm not saying that people like cannot change or something, but I'm like the very fundamental very fundamental traits and attributes. And that's why it's very, very important for parents, teachers, friends to encourage children, to help them build very fundamental traits and attributes that can help, that can form the bedrock of how they perceive the world. Because if the lens is poor, if the lens they're looking through is poor, their perspective of the world will always be poor, and it will be that way. And it's the reason why if they're these kids that think that they are smart, they're inherently smart, and that if they cannot do something, it means that they cannot do it. They're not willing to learn. They don't have that growth mindset type thing. They will always remain that way. And when they get into the university and face life as difficult as it is, they'll begin to think that they're useless. And from my experience, first year everybody's blood is hot. You come into the university and then you meet, the results make you bow. Like you go bow for the results. And then, the tough ones keep working hard. There are smart people that keep working hard, but there are smart people that give up, In the same way, there are all of these bullies that try to find their own sense of self-worth by trampling on other people. And it feels like it stays with them, especially if they are not put in environments that change that perspective, or they are not even willing to change that perspective. It's the same thing with Gregory Dickson. He is the kind of person that I think he probably was a talented swimmer because he's swim captain, and and then he feels like he's a top boy, and boom boom boom. And I think also he genetically he matured a little more than some of the other guys, and so he used his build to other people's disadvantage, bullying people, forming these cliques, and all of that. But deep seated is his inability to take responsibility. Like, he never takes responsibility for anything. In fact, even at the end of the movie, where he is questioned, like, the boy is sued because he's now an adult. He's sued, and then he eventually has to make a statement, like a kind of press release. The boy still does not take advantage, doesn't take responsibility for what he did. He is still blaming this person and blaming that person and blaming Figile and blaming the Damian boy. And I'm like, how irresponsible could you be and still breathe? Now, I know with this responsibility thing that people handle things differently. People handle growth differently and all of that. But I'm saying that there should be some responsibility that you take. It's not every time that people are the reason why you are not doing this or you're not doing that. Like, you should learn to see that, I can handle this. Now, there are some things that is people are the reason people are like outrightly going to trample on you, like the way people were going out. I mean, Greg being one example of somebody that was going out to trample on, like, Damian. That was stuff that was happening to the boy. But I mean, being in Greg's shoes and trying to accuse other people of being the reason why you are the way you are, those are the kind of people that try to blame their parents, try to blame their growing up, try to blame this, try to blame that. Like, bro, come on, like, you're an adult now. Like, I mean, even though you are not an adult, like, I know that people have traits, and I keep giving this caveat. Like, people have traits that, like, of course, they inherited from the environment, or probably even inherited from their parents. But some of those things, like, responsibility needs to be taken for them. It's not like I'm an angry person, I know who I am. I'm always very angry. By 6 a.m., I mean, whenever I'm angry, I break chair. I nobody can stand around me. I break TV. I break things. Bro, come on, like, I don't take any nonsense. I'm not the kind of person to take nonsense. But you take nonsense from your lecturer. You take nonsense from your teachers in school, and you take nonsense from the military guy, that is stopping your father when he's driving you, or is stopping you when you are traveling. Like, but people are just that trait of, like, not standing up straight with your shoulders to the back, even with things that you were the victim in. That trait of not standing up straight with your shoulders to the back can often be the fall of many, right? It can often prove to be the fall of many. And this episode is dedicated to pointing that out, especially, like, in formative years, and advocating for, like, a change. I know that there are some traits that are fixed, right? Those traits are fixed. Many times those genetic traits are fixed, but there are some that are certainly environmental, and even the ones that are fixed have potential for, like, being able to harness them the right way. And that's what we are all in for in life. Lest you get into relationships with people, or you get into environments and you are out there ruining their lives. Like, this doesn't look like a big deal until you find out that it is the bane of many conflicts in marriages. Like, I'm talking about brutal conflicts, domestic violence type thing, verbal abuse type thing, even like in regular romantic relationships, or even in parenthood, or like in it is the reason for horrible bosses, right? This thing is very, very deep seated, and I know many people will say that it's not that deep, until you extrapolate and find out that it actually is that deep. This particular trait of not taking responsibility for stuff, of projecting your insecurities on other people, of I think it's a good place to also repeat the traits, although that's not something that is seen in Gregory Dickson. It's seen in Fikile. The trait of not standing up for it for your friends. You feel like the silence means that you are actually taking their side. The inaction, anytime your friends are being abused in their absence or even in their presence, that inaction is an action in favor of the ops. Like, you are standing with the ops against them. So it's always good to draw the line. Like, if you are standing for something, stand for something and let it be known. No, they beat around the bush, they form a diplomacy. And also always endeavor to stand up straight with your shoulders to the back. And by that I mean take some responsibility, bro. Like, even when you are the victim in the situation, it gives you much more control of your life. I mean, all due respect to my name, Gregory Dickson was being what Gen Zs would call an actual dick. Many people, funnily, will say that it's not that deep.